God has been blessing our church for many years. In 1950, Reverend B.E. Dillon looked out across Oak Grove Lane to a wooded lot, and he said God told him, "You should build a church here." His wife Hetty said God would not let him go. He had to build it there. In 1951, they built a small concrete block church. And in 1954, the vision continued under Bill O'Quinn as they quickly outgrew the little church and purchased the old Schweitzer home and 5 acres in 1957. When my wife Marie and I first came to Schweitzer, worship was held in this home. Sunday school was in the basement if it didn't rain. Bill preached from the living room into the dining room and the kitchen. This house was where I first witnessed true stewardship and vision. In 1959, this dedicated group came together and co-signed the bank note to build a new sanctuary. This tells us that the whole reason we are here is because the Holy Spirit is in the lead at Schweitzer, and we are bursting at the seams again. In 2009 alone, we had 50 baptisms and 60 professions of faith. To properly care for those within our church and for those within the reach of our ministries and missions, we must have an adequate facility. This means a church home that meets the needs of those who are here now, a center for equipping those who reach beyond our walls, and an inviting facility for those who want to join with us in our journey toward Christian maturity, nurture, and service.
This plan will enable us to meet the needs of God's growing church here at Schweitzer. It was designed and developed by Creative Inc. architects with the input and guidance of our building committee and the taking into consideration the responses that were generated from the town hall meetings that were held this fall. This plan includes utilizing the motor car building located just west of our existing facilities. This building is already owned by the church. The entire church staff will be relocated into the front office section of this building. This will allow for a more cooperative work environment for our staff. This move will then free up existing staff office space where they are located on both the first and second floors of our current building. The space we gain on the second floor will benefit our youth ministry, which is growing every week. In the motor cars building, the rear existing warehouse space will serve as the new location for Schweitzer's expanding community outreach ministries. There are large rooms that can be utilized as a disaster relief headquarters, and the large open spaces can be used for such things as to shelter ice storm or the victims of other disasters which occur in the southwest Missouri area. These large spaces are also perfect for holding community events such as the annual bike build, which took place in this space in December. The existing configuration of the west end of the motor cars building naturally lends itself to becoming the new home of our food pantry. Schweitzer's Food Pantry has been distributing food since August of 2003. This food is donated by members of the congregation, vendors, distributors, and food brokers. The amount distributed totals more than $1.5 million of wholesale cost over the 5.5 years that we have been distributing. With the staff offices moving to the motor car building, we will then be able to use the current first floor office space for our expanding nursery ministries. Schweitzer's children's ministry continues to grow, and we are baptizing newborn babies every month. Beside the increasing number of infants we need to serve, we have also learned that our current facilities do not meet suggested security levels in taking care of young children. We will correct this issue by establishing a controlled classroom area that serves our children from birth through 5th grade. This area will have one centralized check-in point that will be monitored and will be the only access point for adults to bring children into or out of the classroom area. Of course, there will be plenty of fire and emergency exits out of this area to be used only under emergency conditions. To meet the growing space needs of our children's ministries, a new addition of 5,700 square feet will be added to the southeast end of our existing building and will be part of the new controlled children's area. This new addition will add 4 classrooms and a connecting hallway to the existing children's area. We will also convert the 2 south existing classrooms at the end of Cather Hall into a larger but dividable space that will be used by the children's ministries for the Live Big, children's worship, the puppet ministry, and as a play space.
When you begin considering your gift, remember the phrase, not equal gifts, but equal sacrifice. It simply means that all of us in our commitments and responses will vary in size and source, but we can all share an equality of effort in determining what our gifts represent from us personally. Only we can gauge what that extra measure of a generous response is to the grace of God in our lives. Commitments to this plan should be over and above our regular giving, so we don't jeopardize the current ministries and programs already in place. These commitments would be for a 3-year period that will help the church financially and provides a time frame for each of us to be both creative and generous in our responses. To achieve the goal of $3.1 million, it will require each of us to pray for God's guidance and our willingness to act in faith. It is one thing to commit using only our calculator, our budget, and our checkbook. A complete commitment will also require the surrender of our spirit to God's Spirit. As a church, we've decided to move forward and to enhance our facility to benefit many, many people. That was the hard part. It took years to do that. Now, with our resources combined and with God as our guide, we can transform that vision into reality. And that's the heart part. We have a history here at Schweitzer, a pattern of people coming to this church to receive and give care and ministry. People are continuing to come. If we choose to be as faithful as those who came before us, then we will provide for those who come after us, for those we may never ever meet. Someone has said to be young is to sit in the shade of a tree that you did not plant. To be mature is to plant a tree in the shade of which you may never sit. Are we willing to commit to the future? Are we willing to sacrifice? Are we willing to continue to care? The time has come to share our faith, to affirm our commitment to the past and to the future of Schweitzer. The time has come for us to act because we're growing God's church.